The rain was pouring outside the glass walls of the penthouse, tapping softly against the windows like a whispered warning. Inside, everything gleamed: marble floors, velvet drapes, a piano no one played. But despite the luxury, the place felt hollow, like a museum of wealth rather than a home. Ethan Cross, the 34-year-old tech billionaire, sat in silence on his leather couch. To the world, he was the golden boy of innovation, ruthless in business, brilliant in strategy, and heartless in rumor. But tonight, his thoughts were restless. It had started a week ago when he overheard his staff talking. "That new maid, Clara," one of them whispered, "she's too shy to even look him in the eye. But she never complains. Works like she owes the world something." For some reason, those words lingered in Ethan's mind. He'd met hundreds of people, investors, partners, employees, but kindness without agenda, that was rare. So that evening, he decided to test her. Clara had been working at the mansion for barely 2 weeks. She was quiet, always with her hair tied in a loose braid and eyes that never lingered too long. She came early, left late, and never said more than "Good morning, sir." What Ethan didn't know was that Clara worked 3 jobs. She was saving for her younger brother's medical treatment back in her hometown. She never told anyone. People like her didn't get noticed, not in a world that only looked up, never down. That night, Ethan lay down on the couch and closed his eyes as Clara entered the room to clean. He wanted to see what she'd do if she'd mutter something rude, pocket something shiny, or simply ignore him. He pretended to snore softly. Clara froze when she saw him. The man who owned half the city, asleep like a child on his couch. She moved quietly, dusting the table near him, careful not to wake him. Then, something unexpected happened. She saw his phone lying on the edge of the table, vibrating with constant messages. Then, a picture appeared on the lock screen. It was of Ethan with his late mother. She remembered reading about her, how she'd passed away suddenly 2 years ago. Clara smiled softly and whispered, "You must miss her a lot, sir." Ethan, eyes still closed, felt something shift inside him. No one had ever spoken to him like that, gently, without trying to get anything. Then, as she turned to leave, he heard a small snap. Her old shoe strap had broken. Clara sighed, took off both shoes, and continued cleaning barefoot. Ethan almost opened his eyes right there, but something stopped him. He wanted to see more. When she finished, she noticed the blanket on the chair. Quietly, she picked it up and draped it over him. Her hands trembled slightly, careful not to touch him. Then she whispered, almost like a prayer, "You work too hard, sir. I hope someday you rest for real." And just like that, she left. The next morning, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about it. The way she spoke, the care she showed, it was genuine. Not for attention. Not for reward. He called his assistant. "Find out everything about Clara," he said. "Where she lives, what she needs." But quietly. Within an hour, he knew. The late nights, the hospital bills, the brother in need. Something stirred in him, not pity, but respect. Maybe even admiration. That evening, he decided to test her again. This time, he left an envelope full of cash under a vase, intentionally visible, but not obvious. When he returned later, the envelope was gone. For a second, disappointment washed over him. So that's what kindness costs, he thought bitterly. But then, his butler handed him a small note. Sir, I found this in the donation box at the hospital. Someone left it anonymously, addressed to the children's ward. The envelope had your company's letterhead. Ethan froze. It was his envelope. The one he left out. She hadn't taken it for herself. She donated it under his name. The next morning, Ethan walked into the kitchen where Clara was quietly washing dishes. She looked up, startled. Sir. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you come in. He smiled for the first time in weeks. Clara, may I ask, why did you donate that money? Her face flushed. Oh, that wasn't mine, sir. But I thought maybe it was meant for someone who needed it. There's a little boy at the hospital who reminds me of my brother. I'm sorry if I did wrong. Ethan looked at her for a long time, this woman with worn shoes, tired eyes, and a heart bigger than the mansion she cleaned. He took a deep breath. Clara, how would you like to work somewhere else, not as a maid, but as part of my foundation? She blinked. Foundation, sir. I'm starting one. To help children who can't afford treatment. And I think I need someone who actually understands what kindness looks like. Tears welled in her eyes. But, sir, I don't have a degree. You have something better, he interrupted softly. You have humanity. Months later, the Ethan Cross Foundation opened its first children's hospital wing. Clara was there, not in a maid's uniform, but in a tailored suit, helping families fill out forms, greeting children with the same quiet warmth that once filled the billionaire's cold mansion. Reporters asked Ethan what inspired the project. He smiled faintly and said, a lesson from someone who reminded me that real wealth isn't what you have, it's what you give. That night, as he stood by the window again, the rain falling softly just like before, he thought back to the moment when a shy maid had covered him with a blanket and whispered a wish. And for the first time in years, Ethan Cross rested, not pretending this time, but truly at peace. Moral: kindness needs no audience. It's the quietest hearts that often change the loudest lives.